Alrighty, so quick lesson video real quick. Make sure you got your information filled out as far as name, date, and period. Your goal for today. I will be able to factor quadratics. That's not how you spell quadratics. So quadratics is an expression or equation where the highest exponent or the highest power of x is 2. Like this situation right here. Okay. A is the number that's in front of x squared. B is the number in front of x. And C is the number without an x, aka a variable. We call this a constant. The first skill that you'll have to learn is identifying A, B, and C, and of course making sure everything is written in standard form. Okay, so right now we're looking at number 1. First thing we want to answer, is it written in standard form? Meaning, do we go from highest exponent to lowest exponent? In this case, yes, this is in standard form. So we can identify A as 3, B as positive 5, and C as positive 2. Okay? Easy money. Now, in this situation for number 2, as you can see, is not in standard form. We will have to rewrite it from highest to lowest. This is how it should look. That 7 is definitely positive, so make sure you got a plus 7. Your A value is a 1. Yes, it's there, I promise you. Your B value is negative 6, and your C value is positive 7. Gotta identify A, B, and C before we start factoring. This guy right here is also out of order. The x squared should be negative, so negative 2x squared. Positive 3x. And then minus 4. A is negative 2, B is positive 3, and C is negative 4. And last but not least, we have it's only 2 terms right here, but we got to fill in. A is always in front of x squared, so 1 is my A value. B is always in front of a single x. It looks like we're missing a B. I'm going to say it's 0 because it's missing. Or something happened to it. Who knows? And C is the number that does not have any x's. That's the number right there. This is a special case. Okay? Difference of squares. Cool beans. Alright, so let's move forward. When we're factoring, the main thing that we want to look at is the A value. When the A value is 1, it's a pretty simple problem, and extra steps are not necessary. So here at Lake Wells High School, we like to use the X puzzle. And it doesn't matter. Some people like to put their product up here and sum down here. It doesn't matter as long as you know who's who. Product is going to be, again, multiplication between A and C. And the product is B. Your job is to go shopping for 2 special numbers, okay? That's what you want to do. Once once you find these two numbers, they go in to the parentheses for your answer, okay? So first thing we do, we take our A value, multiply it with the C value. Remember, A is the number in front of x squared. C is the number. Don't forget the sign as well. C is the number that does not have any variables attached to it, aka a constant. And your sum is always your B value, what your two numbers should add up to, okay? So when you're doing these problems, you're starting out with what two numbers multiply to A times C, and those same numbers add up to B. Now let's get some real-time practice. I'm gonna draw my X. I'm gonna put AC at the top and B at the bottom. My A value is 1, my C value is 3. What is 1 times 3? You're right, it is 3. And my B value is my sum. It's going to be a positive 4. So here's the question. I'm going to write this question one time. What two numbers multiply to 3 and add to 4? That is the question. And that's going to be the question for all of these problems when you're shopping for these two numbers, okay? So I'm looking for two numbers that multiply to 3, add up to 4. At this point, this is where you would go off to the side and list all the multiples of 3. Fortunately, there's only two numbers that multiply to 3, and that's a 1 and a 3. So positive 1 and positive 3. I multiply these two, I get 3. If I add these two, I get 4. Here's my final answer, all right? Here is the final answer. And this is how you're going to do it 100% of the time, even when we move on to harder problems. Y'all see this first term right here? You always take your first term. Do not include the squared, okay? You take your first term and you put it on top of your two numbers. And of course, the ones that I wrote, they're like invisible, okay? So I'm gonna undo that. Let's just put the X there. Remember that 1 is invisible. You know what, who cares? Let's put the 1. And now you gotta ask yourself, can you simplify these fractions right here? Can you simplify this? Of course, the work is gonna be cleaner when we move forward, but you know, I'm trying to teach right now. Right here, we cannot simplify 1 over 1, okay? So here is your first parenthesis, 1x plus 1. 1x plus 1. For your second parenthesis, you're looking over here, you got 1x plus 3. You cannot simplify 1 over 3. You cannot simplify with a 1, period, okay? So this parenthesis is just going to be x plus 3. Oops, didn't mean to do that. And this is your answer. These are the two numbers that multiply to give you x squared plus 4x plus 3. Now the skill that y'all just got done working was actually multiplying this, right? So let's do that real quick. X plus 1 times x plus 3. First move is x times x, which is x squared. Second move is positive 3 times x, which is 3x. Then we would go inside with the 1 times x, which is 1x. 1 times 3, which is positive 3. And 99.99999% of the time, you have like terms in the middle. 3 plus 1 equals 4. And this takes us back to the original problem. So when we say that unit unit 2 was looking just like unit 1, we mean it. All right, it's the same as that. Here is our answer right here. Check it off. Now for this problem right here, the two numbers that we multiply front and back, a times c, is 1 and negative 24. 1 times negative 24 is negative 24. And the same two numbers should add up to a positive 5. We are shopping for two numbers that multiply to negative 24 and they add up to positive 5. Multiply negative 24, add up to positive 5. So let's break it down. 24, you can do 1 and 24, 2 times 12, 3 times 8, 4 times 6. These are all the numbers that multiply to 24. Now, in order for us to multiply to negative 24, somebody has to be negative. Either it's going to be all of these guys, or it's going to be all of these guys. You have to ask yourself, who's it going to be? And we kind of can use a little hint to figure this out like 100% of the time. You take your eyes on what you're trying to add to, okay? This number is positive. So the side with all the bigger numbers, you see 24 is bigger than 1, 12 is bigger than 2, 8 is bigger than 3, 6 is bigger than 4. You want all the numbers that are the biggest in the pair to be positive. So here's what we want, y'all. We want a positive 24, a positive 12, a positive 8, and a positive 6. And by default, all of these guys have to be negative. So calculator, negative 1 plus 24, that would be 23. We're not picking him. Right here, this says negative 2 plus 12, that is 10. Right here, we got negative 3 plus 8, which is 5. Ding, 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 ding. And last but not least, the Mr. Irrelevant, 4 plus 6, which is 2. Clearly, we want these two numbers right here. Negative 3, positive 8. Now, the last thing you have to do is remember to take your first term, do not include the squared, and put it on top of your two numbers. And ask yourself, can I simplify? Nope, nope. You cannot simplify this situation. M minus 3 is your first parenthesis. Second parenthesis is M plus 8. The only time you're going to have a simplification situation is if your A value is greater than 1, okay? Now, I'll do one more here. The two numbers that we're looking for should multiply to 1 times negative 10, which is negative 10. These same two numbers should add up to negative 3. I know all the numbers that multiply to 10. 1 times 10, 2 and 5. That's all you get. But in order to multiply to negative 10, one of these sides got to be negative. Look no further than this guy right here. If you're adding to a negative number, the bigger numbers have to be negative. Okay, it's real simple. It's the only way you can actually add to a negative. So by making 10 negative and 5 negative, 1 is positive and 2 is positive. 1 minus 10 is negative 9. 2 minus 5 is negative 3. Ding, 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 ding. These are our two numbers. Positive 2, negative 5. Remember, this is a video, so at any time, feel free to pause and get all caught up. Answer. Do we have any questions thus far? Cool. Ask me when I get there. And now, I'm pretty sure this is the last page of the lesson before you start working on your prep work. Let's go ahead and look at number 4 here. First of all, number 4 is written out of order. So let's go ahead and put that in order. X squared minus 6x plus 8. The two numbers that we're multiplying to is 1 and 8. 1 times 8 is 8. The number that we're adding to, these same two numbers should add up to -6. Let's go shopping. Could it be 1 and 8? What about 2 and 4? Pretty sure that's it. If I add 1 and 8, oh yeah, this 8 is positive now. If I add these two, I get 9. Add these two, I get 6. So clearly, how do I make it a -6? Ta-da! Everybody knows a negative times a negative is still a positive, okay? But a negative plus a negative is a negative. It's the only way you can add to a negative number. It's the only way you can add to a negative number and multiply to a positive number. You gotta have two negative numbers. Again, a negative times a negative is a positive. And last but not least, go ahead and bring down your first term. Do not include the squared. You cannot simplify this. X minus 2, X minus 4 is your answer. Check it if you need to. All right, this one deserves a rewrite. This one's on you. Good luck. And now, this guy right here, somebody's missing. It's supposed to be an A, a B, and a C. I want you to see something. B is missing. They do not have a B term in this situation. This is called a special case. But if we fill out our X, our two numbers are going to multiply to 1 times -9. 1 times -9 is -9. These same two numbers have to add up to 0. The only way that this is possible is by doing the square root. Alright? These two numbers have to be exactly the same. These two numbers that we multiply have to be the same. But one has to be positive and the other one has to be negative. Come on now, y'all. Y'all know 3 times 3. We know it couldn't have been 1 and 9. It's got to be 3 and 3. 1 positive, 1 negative. That makes it 3 minus 3, which is 0. So for my final answer, I combine it with a y, which is my first term, not including the square. Y plus 3. Y minus 3. Tripping. Again, this is a video, so feel free to pause. Now, whenever your A value is not 1, you want it to be 1. And I know how to make a 4 a 1. I can divide by 4. Hopefully we can divide everybody else by 4. And we can. GCF is out. Who's left? x squared, because that cancels. 16 divided by 4, which is 4. And negative 20 divided by 4, which is negative 5. Everybody, the 4 is factored out. Don't worry about it, okay? Two numbers are going to multiply to negative 5, add up to positive 4. What are these two numbers? We're going to leave this to you. Oh, our first term is negative right here, so our GCF has to be negative, okay? GCF has to be negative. And yes, that's a 1 up front. So, we're going to take the negative out. By taking the negative out, we're changing all the signs. This becomes a positive y squared. This becomes a positive 11y. And this becomes a negative 12. You are now shopping for two numbers that multiply to negative 12 and add up to 11. On you. This guy right here, number 3, is written out of order. Gotta put it in place. The 2x squared is negative, so negative 2x squared. The 18x is negative, so negative 18x, minus 16. Now, here's what we're going to do. We want this first term right here to be a 1. We always want it to be a 1. So we're going to divide this by negative 2. The question is, can we divide everyone else by negative 2? C. Yes, we can. That means negative 2 is our GCF. And now we just write what's left. X squared, negative divided by negative, positive 9x. Negative divided by negative, positive 8. I can think of two numbers that multiply to front times back. Remember, GCF is out. Do not worry about this guy. He is out. So two numbers that multiply to 8, those same two numbers add up to 9. Could it be 1 and 8? Or 2 and 4? 1 plus 8 is 9. 2 plus 4 is 6. Clearly, we want this guy right here. Positive 1, positive 8. Put those two numbers under x. Remember, use the first term, not including the square. Okay? Always use the first term, not including the square. Our final answer is right here. X plus 1, x plus 8. And don't you forget about GCF out front. There. Beautiful work. Again, make sure y'all are being productive, getting work done. And until we meet again, ciao.